Yes, POK. I think, I'm sure that is bound to happen. Obviously, one can't discuss it's very difficult to discuss at this point of time the strategy, etc., etc. Because but you see, the POK's link to Pakistan is very tenuous in any case. Pakistan's hold over POK is very tenuous. The other is China. In order to cement Pakistan's hold, China has the Aksai Chin Highway and connecting Xinjiang, and they have done it. Now, the Chinese model of development and growth, that itself today is being increasingly questioned, because it's a kind of neo-imperialism. If you look at Africa, the kind of social tensions, the kind of exploitation, the kind of negative politics that China has pushed across Africa, indigenous societies and African society and countries and leaders are having are very jittery about it. So in the long run, whether the Chinese model of growth, support and development is going to be accepted, because I see serious challenges coming up before it. Sri Lanka is a case, the way we have been able to, protect Sri Lanka's interest and also get our geostrategic interest pushed forward is a case in point. The manner in which we, engaged with Maldives is another point. So these are small representations, symbolic representations. One. Two, China has a fascination with the Indian Ocean. China's struggle for India's ocean. It's been like that. We have not given up our say and our positioning on the Indian Ocean. We have in fact gone a step ahead, and we are speaking about the Indo-Pacific. It's no more the Asia-Pacific, it is the Indo-Pacific. And in delineating the Indo-Pacific, we have brought it from the shores of the Americas to that of Africa. So this entire region we have defined as the Indo-Pacific. We have a clear-cut vision of the Indo-Pacific. In fact, it's very interesting, the term Indo-Pacific, and I tell this to the Americans also, the term Indo-Pacific was not first defined brought up by the Americans. It was Kalidas Nag in 1943 in a very interesting book that he wrote, and he was one of those who was present at the Memorial Convention in April 1951. Kalidas Nag wrote a book, India and the Pacific World. And in that, for the first time, he uses the term Indo-Pacific. So I say Indo-Pacific is we are countering it with the narrative of the Indo-Pacific. So I think there's a very interesting game that is going on. China considers itself to be a civilizational state. And so there's this Chinese scholar Shang Weiwei. At least Dev is now bringing greater spiritual light into China through Wushu. And I'm sure there are great days ahead when the Chinese thinking also will evolve. So there's this professor at Fudan University, Shan Weiwei. He's a very well-known public thinker. He's written this book, China, the Great Wave, Civilizational State. So when I went through that, and I have made a request that I want to meet him when I'm next in China. But so he says, what is a civilizational state? And he gives about 8 to 11 parameters. Some of them I remember. It's a state where I said is a state which is conscious of its long heritage, which has a rich heritage, which has a long history, which is conscious, has a large number of languages, which is a regional economic powerhouse, can evolve into a global economic powerhouse, and more importantly, it is a state which is becoming modern, but at the same time becoming more alive to its tradition, its roots, and its thinking. So he says this is a civilizational state, and Shang Weiwei says China is the only civilization state. So I said no, even India falls in this category. And it's only that you were dominated by the West for 100 years, and you talk about a century of humiliation. So your growth, your exchange with the world, your engagement with the world is driven by that sense of a century of humiliation. We were subjected 250 years minimum, but when we became free, we never spoke about centuries of humiliation. We approached the world with a sense of responsibility, saying that now that we are free, we can give our best to the world. So this is the difference in the Chinese and the Indian approach engagement with the world. So I think ultimately, one is the questioning of the Chinese model of development. Second is the tenuous link that Pakistan itself, the hold that it has over POK. And first time Pakistan has understood that that entire narrative of nuclear blackmail, which I mentioned, that you have 10 senators calling up, the US president calling up and saying, no, de-escalate, please hold back, because you both are nuclear weapon state. It doesn't work. We did surgical strikes. You did Balakot. What happened to nuclear blackmail? It doesn't work. And very interestingly, Pandit Deen Dayal Upadhyay, every time the Janasangh passed its resolutions, and Deen Dayal ji also wrote, he was a prolific writer also, integral humanism. He spoke about integral humanism. Everywhere Deen Dayal ji says, one of the activities or one of the aims of the Janasangh, one of these is abrogation of Article 370, the other is recovery of lost territory. So I think that is very much in the offing, very much. Once that is done, then let's see in the next, you never know in the next 150 years how the global equation changes. Where China stands, where Pakistan stands, all this is because we are in a tremendous situation of flux. So, and in this flux, I see a tremendous positive possibility. Precisely because we are also conscious and we are rising. We feel that we are emerging as a global power, that we are not going to take dictations anymore. We not take a daily hectoring by a country like Turkey. We can respond to them. We can isolate Pakistan. And we can exactly put forward our point of view. We can de-hyphenate ourselves from any other country. And we can pursue pragmatically our self-interest. We don't need to be, like what Prime Minister Modi had said, overcoming hesitations of history. Which was, we were bogged down in the non-alignment period. Because he's my friend, I don't want to be seen to be aligning with that. No, if it serves my national interest, I'm going to align. So I'm going to go to Israel, I'm going to sit with the Iranians, and I'm going to make a breakthrough in West Asia. Our entire West Asia policy has been rewritten. And this is quote-unquote a Hindutva Prime Minister, an RSS man. But the entire West Asia narrative has been rewritten. We have never had such resounding relationship with the West Asian countries, with the countries in the Middle East. None of them, not one resolution was passed against us when it came to Article 370 or even before that. Sushma ji was invited specially to deliver the keynote address at the Organization of Islamic Countries. Pakistan said they will boycott. The organizers said go ahead and boycott, but the Indian Foreign Minister is going to give the speech. Then there were questions, they asked Sushma ji that, but then they passed a resolution on Kashmir. He said, वो तो ठीक है, वो हम कहाँ accept करते हैं, हम ignore करते हैं. हमारा achievement, this is our achievement, that for the first time the Indian Foreign Minister gave the keynote address at the Organization of Islamic Countries, and we said what we wanted to say. The problem with civil society, there is another dimension to civil society, and that is the Jhola dimension, That you are driven by what Sitaram Goel called satellite ideologies. That you become a satellite of another narrative which is beyond your shore. And that narrative has a certain agenda which is social and political to be worked out within India. And that agenda is most of the time not favorable to our collective evolution as a nation, as a people, as a society. So I think we have to separate wheat from the chaff, not chaff from the wheat. Absolutely. And I think that's why it's extremely necessary that there's a very positive civil society effort and initiative which must come. Large number of people are working. I think we should synergize our energies. And we should also identify those who are, working to a certain set agenda which is set elsewhere. I think that has to be very clear. And of course, those who work to that agenda have a lot of resources, have many avenues which open up. Means today, for example, you have invited me, I'm so grateful that you have invited me, you have listened to me so patiently, you have been very polite to me, and at least I've got a platform here. I mean, in the sense that I'm just saying that but others I'm saying. Now, anyone who stands up and says, Kashmir मांगे आजादी. Next you see he's already in London School of Economics delivering a lecture on the condition of India today and all that. Anyone who says that the Indian state is a fascist and an oppressive state, you see Berkeley. I mean, if I have to travel abroad, I have to at least plan for 6 months and then decide, oh, funding कौन करेगा, अच्छा देगा कि नहीं, कहाँ रखेगा, कैसा जाएंगे, जैसे मुझे सोचना पड़ता है, इनको नहीं सोचना पड़ता है. यहाँ से मांगे आज़ादी, वहाँ सीधा जाकर प्लेटफॉर्म मिल गया. And then you are feted as the upcoming voice of India. So there are such elements also. ये भी हमने आइडेंटिफाई किया है. मजे में है. हाँ नहीं, you see this nexus is breaking. Certainly it is breaking because you have tightened up what have you have tightened up the purse strings. Yeah, you have tightened up the funding and nothing extra. You have just asked them to comply to the rules of the land. भाई आप यूएस में रहते हो तो वहां तो कंप्लाई करना पड़ेगा. अब वहां क्या कहोगे कि कागज नहीं दिखाएंगे, क्या करेंगे? वहां तो निकाल देगा. फिर कागज नहीं दिखाओगे तो एयरपोर्ट में उतरते ही कागज और भी कुछ दिखाना पड़ता है वहां. हाँ, तो क्या करोगे? सो पॉइंट इज दैट द मोमेंट यू से दैट you have become a celebrity. So what, that is where I said that mental, this agenda, this narrative of mental separatism, that is being very consciously pushed, and it is being pushed through a certain section who have no political responsibility. देखिए, अगर आपको, मैं हार गया कोई बात नहीं, पर मुझे 39% वोट मिला, आपको 0.2% मिला, आपका कोई पॉलिटिकल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी नहीं है. आप मांगे आज़ादी करो, आप लोगों को फुसलाओ, आप लोगों को गलत उसको इंटरप्रिटेशन दो, एंड दैट्स इट, यू आर सिटिंग.